The Titans of Yule. This is another faction added in the Prophecy of Kings expansion, and where the Imperium had their focus on space exploration, the Titans of Yule got their eyes peeled towards the ground and even into it, because this faction is all about planet exploration and two pretty awesome unit upgrades. The Titans have their own unique tokens, and a brief look into the lore helps us understand what they are and what they can do for us after exploration. So the Titans of Yule was created by the PoK gene sorcerers, and at some point in time they had to flee the galaxy, but before they did that, they buried some of these Titan seeds into the ground so they could hopefully awaken those when they once returned to the galaxy. And since this is a core element of the Titans of Yule, let's have a closer look at how it works. When we use our faction ability called Terragenesis, which basically means something like reborn from the ground, then we are pretending to travel back in time to when the PoK buried the seeds right before they fled the galaxy. And what that means in the games is that whenever you activate a system and you fly out there, then first you get to explore the planets. But after this exploration, then we get to place a sleeper token on each planet here if we want to indicate the buried seed. And when we are returning to this system, probably in round 2, then we can activate the system again, and then we can use the corresponding Awaken faction ability to replace these sleeper tokens with PDS units, or Hel-Titans as they are called for this faction. The Hel-Titans are truly a powerful PDS unit. It works both as a structure, like the ordinary PDS, but also as a ground force. So it can fight along with our mechs and infantry in case an enemy lands enemy troops on one of our planets. And it even has sustained damage. But the only thing we can't do with it is to bring it along with us on one of our carriers. And the last thing that sets this unit apart from the ordinary PDS is that it has production 1. So the Hel-Titans are truly a versatile unit. And note the timing window here, because we get to replace the sleeper tokens with the Hel-Titans before the production step is reached, and that means that we can produce up to 2 units in the same system here with the same activation, which is extremely useful to get more units out on the table. And this leads us to one of the starting technologies that the Titan has, which is the scanning drone network. And with this technology, we get to explore one planet when we activate a system. So besides having faction abilities related to activation, we also got this technology. So let's have a closer look at how all of this works together so we get the timing windows right. But with the Titans, there's a lot going on when we activate a system, both for the first time and all later activations. So I think it is worth to break it down step by step. When we activate the system here, and there are 2 timing windows for activation, there's when and after. And I will add more to the when part in round 2. So now we go to the after part of it, and then we get to move in a few units, like so. Next is exploration, and we start by exploring the card here. We resolve whatever is on this exploration card. Then we get to place a sleeper token on that planet. And then we explore Alio Prima and resolve whatever is on this card. And we get to place another sleeper token. Now we enter round 2 and we activate the system again. And we are in the when timing window right now. And that means that the scanning drone network technology comes into play. It says when you activate a system, you may explore one planet in that system, which contains one or more of your units. And we have units on both of these planets, but since Bakal is the better one, then we decide to explore this one. And we resolve whatever is on that exploration card. And now we enter the after timing window of the activation, and that means that we can replace our sleeper tokens with Hel-Titans, and we can do it for both of them, but we could also have a look at the mechs here. It says deploy. When you will place a PDS on a planet, you may place 1 mech and 1 infantry on that planet instead. So instead of getting a second Hel-Titan here, we could decide to replace this sleeper token with a mech and an infantry. And now we get to move units. So if we want, we could move the Dreadnought and an infantry in there, or a fighter for instance. And eventually we reach the production step of the tactical order sequence, and then we can actually produce 1 unit on this Hel-Titan that we just got. So the timing of all this is important, but I think the order makes sense, so we will quickly get the hang of it. That was a lot about the Hel-Titans, but we also want to have a look at our other special unit. It's called the Saturn Engine I. Most of the stats are the same as the ordinary cruiser that it replaces, but ours got capacity 1 as well. So that makes it really interesting. And a little later I will show you the upgraded version of the Saturn engine, which of course we want to research. But first, let's have a look at the first round with the construction strategy card and our Saturn Engine ones. So we have taken the construction strategy card, and normally you can place one PDS or one space dock on a planet we control, and we can place one additional PDS on a planet we control. But with the Titans we can do something pretty awesome, because if we take a look at the mechs, it says here, when you would place a PDS on a planet, you may place one mech and one infantry on that planet instead. So we definitely want to do that. So we play the card, and we get these 4 units instead. It is usually better to explore hazardous planets like Sandhagt and Cormont here with a mech. So let's do that. So we activate out on Cormont, and then we fly out there with a cruiser and a mech. And then let's see what we get here. A volatile fuel source. If you have at least one mech on this planet, or if you remove an infantry, you can gain 1 command token. So that is pretty good. Just got our command token back. And as the last thing, we need to remember to place a sleeper token on that planet. As our third action, we can fly out here to Lodor and gain control of this planet here. So we will take a cruiser and an infantry along, and then we will explore the planets. And we get freelancers. You may produce 1 unit in this system. You may spend influence as if it were resources to produce this unit. Okay, nothing we can really use, but we get to place a sleeper token on this planet as well. And when it gets to be the warfare player's turn, he plays his strategy card. So with the 4 resources we have on Elysium here, we will produce 1 cruiser and 4 infantry. And as the fourth and last action, we will activate Bakal and Alio Prima here, fly out there with a dreadnought, a cruiser and 2 infantry. And first we will explore Bakal, and we get local fabricators. You may gain 1 commodity or spend 1 trade good or 1 commodity to place 1 mech from your reinforcements on this planet. And since we don't have any commodities or trade goods, we will gain 1 commodity. And let's explore Alio Prima. It's a blue relic fragment. Alright, and as the last thing, we shouldn't forget to place 1 sleeper token on each of these planets, like so. With the construction strategy card, we have gotten 2 mechs and 2 infantry, and we have even built more units on the secondary of warfare. And we have used these units to gain control of 3 systems, so I think this is a fairly good first round for the Titans. And a little later, I will demonstrate how the first round can go with the technology card and the leadership card. But first, let's have a look at what technology is to research. As mentioned, we start with the scanning drone network, but we also start with anti-mass deflectors. I won't go through that technology here, but you can watch this short video instead. I believe we have one of the best unit upgrades in the game. It's called the Saturn Engine II, and it is a replacement for the Cruiser 2 unit upgrade. It has a capacity of 2, a movement of 3, and it even has sustained damage. So with this unit, we basically don't need any carriers to transport our units around. We can simply use the Saturn Engine II. We already have the yellow tech needed to get it, but we still need a green and a red technology. So let's have a look at our options. Here we have 2 interesting options. The first one is plasma scoring. When 1 or more of your units use bombardment or space cannon, one of those units may roll 1 additional die. And since we want to have a lot of these Hel-Titans out on the game board, then having 1 extra shot every time they're activated will of course help us during the game. And if we get plasma scoring and we already start with scanning drone network, then we have the technologies needed to upgrade our Hel-Titans from stage 1 to stage 2. And what we gain from that is that when it acts as a ground force, then it will hit on a 6 instead of a 7. And the space cannon also becomes a little more accurate since it now hits on a 5 instead of a 6. And the other stats remain the same. But if we go for plasma scoring, then we still need 1 green technology before we can research the Saturn Engine II. But I would probably go for the AI development algorithm. It is a red technology, but it can also act as the green one, so we can get the Saturn Engine II unit upgrade. But we also get the added benefit of a production discount based on the number of unit upgrades that we own. And since we're going for at least 2 unit upgrades, then we can reduce our production costs by 2 in 1 build every round, and this is pretty significant. Getting these 2 unit upgrades are the vital ones for this faction, so we could consider stopping researching more technology now and then focus on building more units. But we could also go further down into the yellow tech tree to both boost our economy but also improve our Hel-Titans. We can consider researching these technologies, Sarween tools, so that we get a production discount every time we produce units, but that can be pretty often, especially since our Hel-Titans got production 1. Then we can go for the graviton laser system, and this technology can force a hit on a non-fighter ship, if able, whenever one of our Hel-Titans use their space cannon ability. Then we can consider getting transit diodes, because with this technology we can all of a sudden move our Hel-Titans to other planets that we control, because the technology says, at the beginning of your turn during the action phase, remove up to 4 ground forces from the game board and then place them on one or more planets that you control. And with this technology we have lifted the constraint we had where we couldn't move our Hel-Titans with, for instance, our cruisers or carriers. Now we can place them on the planets where we want them to be, so they can help us even further. If we can't get the construction strategy card, then we can go for technology instead. So let's have a look at how the first round can go with that card. So as our first action, we can activate out here and gain control of Lodor. We can bring a cruiser and an infantry along. Then we explore the planet and let's see what we get. A mercenary outfit. You may place 1 infantry from your reinforcements on this planet. We will do that. And lastly, don't forget to place a sleeper token on it as well. And then as our second action, we can activate Bakal and Alio Prima here. We will move our dreadnought and our cruiser and 2 infantry up there and explore Bakal first. And we get a green tech skip, which is awesome. And on Alio Prima we will get blue relic fragment. And lastly, we place 2 sleeper tokens on those planets. And now we hope that the warfare player decides to play his strategy card, but unfortunately he doesn't. So instead we have to play our technology card, and with that we get to research 1 technology. And since we don't have 6 resources, we will definitely not research 2 technologies. So what we will get is the AI development algorithm. And now it gets to be the warfare player, and he finally plays that card. So we pay a token from our strategy pool so that we can build some units in our home system. And we will spend the 4 resources to pay for the cruiser and the mech we just built. We could, as our 4th and last action, activate out here on Cormont and then fly our cruiser and mech out there. But that would leave our home system pretty empty, so that makes us very vulnerable from attacks from both of our neighbors. So instead I would wait to do that until round 2, after we have hopefully gotten some more units in our home system. So with the technology card we have gained control of 2 systems, we have researched 1 technology, and we're ready to research Saturn Engine II in round 2. Our agent is super simple, as we may cancel a hit produced against one of our units in every round. It's not the best agent in the game, but it is certainly useful, and we will probably save a few units during the game. Then we have our commander, and we unlock him when we have 5 structures out on the game board. And as we can see after the demonstration of the first round with the technology card, we already have 3 sleeper tokens out there just waiting to be activated again. And then we have the space dock in our home system, so that's almost 4 structures already. So he will be unlocked soon enough, and when he gets unlocked, then we may gain 1 trade good every time one of our units uses production, and that goes both for the space dock but also for our Hel-Titans when we get those, because they also have production 1 each of them. We want to score 3 objectives as soon as possible so we can unlock and play our hero, and what he does is that he increases both the resource and influence values by 3, and we get 3 PDS shots in case another player decides to attack our home system. So the sooner we unlock him, the more benefit we get from him. My third choice would be the leadership strategy card, and with this we gain 3 command tokens, and I want to play this as early as possible in the game round so that the other players doesn't have as much influence to buy additional command tokens for. So let's do that as our very first action, and I'll place 2 command tokens in the tactical pool and 1 in the strategy pool. And the rest of the first turn will be very similar to the one with the technology card, so let me just do this quickly. Like so. And now we have gained control of the 2 systems as we did before, but we didn't get any technology. Instead, we have a few extra tokens on our command sheet, which is also okay, but not just as good in my opinion. Both our faction promissory note and our alliance is fairly valuable to the other players. Our faction promissory note is a planet attachment that increases the resource and influence values by 1, and that planet also gets all 3 planet traits, so they cannot use it on their home system or on Megatol Rex. But if you give it out fairly early in the game, then it is pretty valuable to that player, so we can try and negotiate a good deal there. Our alliance is not that valuable, so we may not be able to sell it for a fortune. It says, when one or more of your units use production, you may gain one trade good. So let's say that the green player is acting a little hostile towards us, so we could consider trying to sell or just give our alliance to the white player, so he gets a small economy boost whenever he produces units, and hopefully he can draw some of the heat from the green player in that way. Our flagship is not that powerful, but we can deploy it by replacing a Hel-Titan with it, so we might as well do it during the game. It rolls 2 dice and hits on a 7, and has a capacity of 3, so no special powers there. But of course we can always deploy it to help it defend one of our exposed systems. You can quickly run out of command tokens if you just activate a system to explore the planet and replace the sleeper token with a Hel-Titan. So try only to do this when you really have to, and not just because you're not sure what else to do. Because we start with 5 sleeper tokens, and every time you get one of them back, you can use it again. So we have plenty of those, but I cannot say the same about the command tokens. So generally, we want to take the leadership strategy card more often when playing the Titans compared to other factions, so that we can replace our sleeper tokens with more Hel-Titans. Even though there's a ton of synergy in the Titan faction abilities and they are fun to use, then try to keep your focus on scoring those victory points, because they will help you win the game. And it is also important to know that our sleeper tokens can coexist with other players' units. So let's say that if we activate this system here, then we can replace our sleeper token with a Hel-Titan. And then our third and last faction ability called Coalescence comes into play. And that basically says that when this situation happens, then a ground combat is triggered. And we of course need to roll die to figure out who wins. And the same thing would happen if we activate a system that contains one of our Hel-Titans, because if we want to deploy our flagship, we do that by activating a system, remove the Hel-Titan, and deploy the flagship instead. And again, Coalescence will trigger a space combat, so we find out who will win the space area over this planet. And with that said, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more content, and see you in the next one. Where are those cards going? Bye bye.